Good morning, everyone. It's Lindsay Hellis from SPS back in the building with another SPS Monday Motivation. Hope you had a good weekend. I had a great weekend. Weather is changing. We're going into that fourth quarter, folks, no doubt. Yes, 2025 is about to wrap up, and I'm not trying to give you alarm or anything like that, but hey, things move on, so we can keep moving on. So, what is today's Monday Motivation? And I have to be very careful as I state this so not to trigger or alarm, but bad times are important. I'll repeat, bad times are important. I am not saying bad times are good. I am not trying to trigger or downplay anyone's trauma as it relates to something horrible or horrific. Right on time, always. Got Michelle Mimi Watkins. Good morning. How are you? And then I got my guy, Coach Broderick B. Knight, representing my guy, Henry Ford Soldier, back when I was Coach Huddleston. Always be Coach Huddleston, this young man, this crew. Good to see you, B. Knight. Hope you're doing all right. Got my brother Aaron Mays popping in this morning. Everybody coming through to say what's up. I haven't seen Aaron in a while, but we can always say what's up to Aaron. There you go, right there. Aaron Mays, that's right, that's right. Good to see everybody. I'm talking about bad times are important. So let me get right to it and define important so we can keep context, right? Important definition is of great significance or value, likely to have a profound effect on success, survival, or well-being. So I'm referring to bad times, things that we experience can really impact our success and our survival and well-being. Okay. Also, we are shaped not only by our best moments, but also by how we endure the hardest ones. I repeat that. We are shaped not only by our best moments, but also by how we endure the hardest ones. Nobody want to talk about bad times, but why do bad times matter? Why do we want to even relive something or think about something or go back to something? Who we have right here? Got my brother Jay Lou. Good morning, brother. You said good morning, bro. That's that alpha love right there. Jay Lou in the building. James Lewis. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for checking in, man. We're talking about bad times are important, Jay Lou, and I was very emphatic about putting context in the word important because I think sometimes we can kind of gloss over that. I said, Lindsay, what you mean bad times are giving value to it? But the reality is that sometimes we can't escape bad times, whether it's publicly or privately or whatever we may be dealing with. And the reality is this: difficult experiences often serve as a turning point for growth. And that's all about how we frame it. It's all about how we frame things. And this is not no happy-go-lucky, oh, you're just trying to be happy. But we have to be able to frame things because these difficult experiences can serve as a turning point for growth. Psychologist, Viktor Frankl, way back in 1946, 40 years after our founding, Brother Lou, in 1906, in The Man's Search for Meaning, explains that suffering can help us discover deeper meaning in life. But we never want to deal with that when we're going through that suffering, right? We don't want to hear that. Whether it's suffering on the track and field, on the basketball court, whether that's Coach Mimi Watkins, whether that's B. Knight, you don't want to hear that when you're suffering, right? When you're going through it, right? I got the greatest, no doubt, Miss Patricia England. Good morning, son. Good morning, mother. Talking about bad times are important, but making sure to emphasize I'm not saying bad times are necessarily good, but the importance of what we can get from that. And also, too, reality is that valleys, the peaks of life don't feel as high. Without kind of being down, you know how that goes. Then I may be tapping into some trauma or tapping into that subconscious. We'll talk about that in a second. But, sometimes when you come out that valley, man, that peak seems a little bit more higher. It's a little bit more fresher with that air you taking in. You have a different appreciation. That's why I'm making that reference that bad times are important for us, right? Learning through struggle wants to struggle, right? They told us that when we was pledging our great fraternity, right, Brother Lewis? Yeah, you didn't want to hear that then, but you learned a lot through that, right? You know that being a member of Delta Sigma Theta, Coach Mimi Watkins, you know how that goes. Like that learn through that struggle part when you're going through that. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth. Nobody want to hear that though, right? But when we look back on it, we can take so many nuggets from it, right? Post-traumatic growth. You had some trauma and you were able to grow from that, right? Right. Got Alicia Hatcher. Good morning, family. Good morning to you. Always great to see you checking in. I hope you're doing well. Such a beautiful spirit, beautiful person. Jay Lee is coming in. Jay Lee said, what did Jay say we grow the most through tough times. God gave us the ability to feel sadness and anger for a reason. Embrace it. I know, brother. I know. I appreciate that. He says, indeed. But see, it's the challenge is we don't want to hear when we're going through it. Somebody got you going through something, say, this is going to make you better. You're like, I don't care about that. I want to get through it. But the reality is somehow we get through it. And what I'll say a little later is that trauma goes somewhere else because it could have been the worst experience you had, not taking light of you losing a loved one or something very horrible happening to you or somebody you care about. But that trauma seems to kind of find a place to go, and you're able to kind of focus and have the ability to move on, hopefully. Research shows that after trauma, many people develop, what do they develop? A greater appreciation for life, deeper relationships, stronger resilience, right? In short, bad times can unlock hidden strength, right? We don't want to hear when we're going through it. Alicia Hatcher says, amen, amen. We don't want to hear when we're going through, but we all can look back. And I think the reality is that, and this is just me thinking out loud, the reason why we're not so quick to acknowledge that bad times are important because we don't want to run the risk of accepting those bad times again. Right? You don't want to run the risk of inviting that back into your psyche again. I can understand that from a protective standpoint, that this is something, and I thought about this as though it came from my heart to have the topic. I said, I got to be really mindful and careful how I put this in the context so not to overlook the challenge when somebody go through something. Alicia Hatcher says, wow, okay. She said, we got something for you right there. So what I want to continue to go with is contrast creates appreciation. It's not to say you didn't appreciate something when you were, having it, but boy, take it away from you, limit it for a little while. Oh, you appreciate it, right? Right. And not that we have to be forced to go through traumatic experiences to have an appreciation for something. But the reality is that life makes those decisions for us sometimes. You can be sitting and say, look, I want to keep it all good, but things happen out of your control and you're forced to be in that situation. Okay. Once a crisis passes, our minds store the pain in the subconscious. That's what I'm talking about. Because you ever thought back to something that you went through and you knew it was effed up, right? You knew it was tough. You knew it was a hard time for you. It pushed you to a limit, whether it was a public thing, a private thing. But now when you think back for it, it's kind of funny. It's hard to almost relive that pain. And I'm not glossing over anything traumatic. I know this can be a very sensitive subject, and I love everyone on here, and I'm not overlooking that, but I'm just trying to have this dialogue. Sometimes we can't even fully unlock that pain because it goes to our subconscious, and maybe a smell, maybe an experience something can kind of bring you a brief moment of it, right? Lisa talking to me said, teach, my brother, teach. Okay, we're doing all right. We're going to run it. Skylar Hunter, what's up, brother? Exactly what I need to hear this morning. God bless you, brother. You are so welcome, man. You are so welcome. My brother Skylar Hunter, representing the Henry Ford fam, got your young men growing and going, beautiful family. And I want you to continue to push the things that you're doing, expressing your artistic ability too. So with that being said, let's keep it with the psychological reference. Sigmund Freud, a name we've all known in the psychology field, noted that memory works with the protective filter. Oh, this is making sense now. We don't re-experience pain at the same intensity later. Oh my God, I just said that. We can never re-experience that pain again because the memory works as a filter. It kind of puts it back. It gives you a little taste of it, but you can never get it back. It doesn't mean it wasn't important. Doesn't mean it didn't harm you, but that can also let you know that when you're going through something, you can say, you know what? I remember hearing what Lindsay was saying, and psychologists say, I'm going to never feel this pain again, even when I look back on it, right? Got Patricia England. Mom says, reality is there will be more than one bad time. Humans dig deep and flourish. We have to. And it's not that we're, looking for trouble, that we're going around looking to get for self-harm or want to hurt ourselves. But that's just the reality. You live with us. You can be living and loving and something happens to somebody you love, somebody you care about, or even the thought of it. That's just the reality of the world we live in. So all we can do is just try to prepare ourselves to realize that bad times are important for what we can gain from it. And this is in no way or form to take away from what you experience or to downplay it. And then, sometimes to kind of go off script for a second, the bad times, we got to find an enemy. We have to find an enemy after experiencing bad times. Who is to blame? Somebody has to be responsible. And in many times, unfortunately, there is no one to place responsibility on. And that has to hurt. You got something where somebody is being negatively impacted, but you can't point a finger to someone and say, well, it's because of this person. It's just a number of events that come together and whatever it may be. But we're going to get through it, right? Also, too, this explains why looking back, you may not feel the same anguish you once did, though you clearly remember the struggle. You like, I remember I was down bad for a minute. And it's crazy because you're like, I done came out of it, but man, I don't feel the same. But I know it was tough. I remember saying to myself, oh my God, I never felt like this before. That's resilience in action, folks. You got to think of bad times as a mental weight training. I just left the gym. I got up early this morning, hit the gym, did everything I need to do. But it's bad times are like a mental weight training, because if you take those bad times, you don't have to be stuck there. If you say, you know what, look what I went through. Look what I made it through. And even when I was going through it, I had people encourage me saying, you're going to be all right. You're going to make it. And then when you get out, say, look how I got my weight up. We use that term, get your weight up. Look how I got my weight up. Look how I'm more capable of dealing with things on another level. Though I don't welcome it, I know that when it comes, I'll be able to deal with it. Each challenge strengthens emotional muscles. That's right. Talking about emotional muscles. You ever talked about that? Strengthening emotional muscles, getting through a breakup, getting disappointed professionally, personally, looking at the things that are going on in the world, right? Each challenge we go through can strengthen our emotional muscles if you receive that, if you frame it in that way. Okay, we got another actual factual aspect. Neuroscience shows that stress, when processed well, again, I didn't just say stress alone, but when you process it well, when you frame it, builds neuroplasticity, right? Those are those pathways through your brain, right? That can be good or bad. It can bring, opportunity to say, okay, something's bad going on. Let me process this the right way, in a positive way, to get the most out of it, to help me get through it. But sometimes we can create those pathways, like walking, over a path over and over again. That could be a negative trait. But it's, again, the key point is that when processed well, can do that. And how do you process? But saying, I'm going to be all right. You are stronger because of what you endured, not in spite of it. I got through it. If you're hearing my voice, that means you got through it. If it's touching on something that you can think back on it, that was really messed up, man. You got through it, right? Maybe a little scarred, had to limp over the finish line, but you got through it because you're here. You're able to think back on it right now, but you're stronger based on what you endured and what you got through. So what's the takeaway message, right? Takeaway message today is this: bad times are not detours. They're part of the path. Come with the game, baby. Charge it to the game. If you really want to be kind of like, something happens, like charge it to the game and keep it moving. The game of life. That's what we out here doing. Bad times come with it. Oh, I didn't like that. I didn't want that, but I had to make a move. I had to deal with it. It's not necessarily a detour. It's just part of it. Because you had something that took you off a goal that you said or something you were doing, it doesn't mean it's over, right? That's part of it. It's not over. And it's so easy for these bad times, whatever it may be, to get us stuck, right? I could have been stuck this morning, at 6 a.m. I like to go ride my bike outside, but the weather changing, baby. The weather changing. So I had to say, I got to go to the gym. But I said, man, if I get up and get this going, it's going to be a great role. I better talk to my folks today. Got a lot of things going on. We're going to be talking Michigan State football. We're getting into everything that's happening with that. You will see some things later. But my whole point is that bad times are not a detour. They are part of the path. And also, as I wrap up, they teach, they stretch, and they strengthen you. You don't want to hear at the time when you're going through it. Who wants to hear that? But it's a reality. It's going to teach you something. It's going to stretch you more, and it's going to strengthen you. And in most cases, that bad time that you endure, you'll be able to navigate through that. And more importantly, you'll better help somebody else navigate, whether it's your loved ones, somebody you care about, or a perfect stranger, They fade into the subconscious, leaving behind resilience and wisdom. It's going to go away. The brain is going to protect you, just like you're not going to just want to run out in front of a car in the street. Your brain will say, no, that's not a good look. The subconscious is going to be there to hold it and take it. That's why it doesn't feel the same after you go through an experience. And also, too, remember, storms don't last forever, but they strengthen. But the strength they build does. Storms don't last forever, but the strength they build does. What you gain the bad hard times is the person that makes you. You're a different person now, aren't you? A little different now. That's what you gain. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to get to this day. We got some more things you'll be hearing about with Michigan State football. I'll be with Coach Jonathan Smith a little later, getting ready to kick off this week of football, starting Friday for college football, that is. And I want to appreciate you guys. I appreciate you so much. Stay positive, stay focused. Bad times are important, and you better learn from it and grow from it. See you next time. Peace.